This is the ZUUKOO automatic vacuum sealer. Let's take it out of the box. In the box you get the operation guide. They give you the power cord, which is a standard US plug to a boombox style connector. Note it is not a figure 8. There's a flat on that side, round over there. So it must be this cable. They give you a set of 10 vacuum sealer bags. You can always get more. They're available in a multitude of different brands and even come on a roll. And over here you get 2 different vacuum cables, or hoses I should say, that will plug into the machine to allow you to apply vacuum action to external devices. External devices could be a wine bottle stopper to get the air out of there. It could be a canister that you store food in, and there's a number of other different items that are available out there. And of course, you get the machine itself. Now, anybody who is familiar with vacuum sealer machines are familiar with the buttons on the side, and the top pops up, and this doesn't have that. This is a brand new design. It's slot loading. You simply stick the bag in there. It does all the work. It has a touchscreen control to operate it, which will only show when the unit is powered on. Let me get it powered on so you can see what it'll look like, and I'll tell you a bit more about the machine. When we apply power, the display comes up, and this is a touch screen. You have dry, moist, manual, seal, and cancel. So 5 little touch areas there, and I'm going to go over all of these features. Let's first talk about what is a vacuum sealer and why do you need one. A vacuum sealer is a must to have in the kitchen these days. With the uncertainty of everything going on in the world at this point in time, we never do know that our food supply is indeed safe. So having some stuff in your freezer is not a bad idea. And if anybody remembers back a few years ago when this all started, everybody ran to the store, bought the entire store, brought it home, froze stuff, tried to return stuff that didn't fit in their freezer, and it was just a total mess everywhere. And maybe now they're getting to that stuff that they hid in the back of the freezer. They were able to just stuff in the back, and it's all freezer burned, and it's terrible. Or let's say you go to the store and they have strawberries on sale for a really great price, but you have to buy 2 or 3 of them. Well, you can't eat 2 or 3 containers worth of strawberries in one sitting. That's a big problem. So you have to store that stuff, and it grows those little fuzzies on there, and then you end up throwing it out. And that wasn't really a good buy after all. If you had a lot of people to eat it, then sure, that was a great buy, but other than that, not such a good buy, and you end up wasting a lot of food. Sometimes you might find maybe a block of cheddar cheese, big block of cheese, on sale for a really great price, but it's like 8 pounds, and nobody's going to sit there and eat 8 pounds, and you don't need 8 pounds for a recipe. But of course you can cut some off, and then we get out the saran wrap and wrap up the rest of it to find in a few weeks that it's moldy. No good. You can cut the mold off of it, yeah, but then everybody gets kind of skeeved out. Not a great thing. So what a vacuum sealer is basically a Ziploc bag on steroids. There's no zipper on it because that's taken care of with the vacuum action. You simply place the item that you want to save into one of the vacuum bags, stick it in the slot of the machine, and then you press the appropriate button, and the machine is going to do all the work. Now I'm going to demonstrate this to you in a little bit. What this is going to do is remove the air from the bag. The air is what causes the food to spoil. So if you get rid of the air, the food, well, it'll spoil, but it'll last 7 times longer than it would without a vacuum sealer machine. all food is eventually perishable, but this can prolong the life of the food you buy, extend your food dollars, especially if you're on a budget. You can buy things on sale, get great prices on them, save them. Maybe you get a big package of chicken breasts and way too much for your family to eat in one sitting. You can put the rest in one of the vacuum bags, freeze it, and come back to it a year, 2 years, even 3 years later, pull it out of the freezer, and it's in that bag the day you put it in. There is no freezer burn, no loss in taste, color, texture, anything. It's just as good. So that's why you need a vacuum sealer, because it will extend the life of any food that you put in a vacuum bag. Now I'm going to demonstrate it to you. You can seal just about anything into a bag. In fact, you can seal non-food items, and I'm going to do that first. But I want you to pay attention here to the control panel, because you have the dry button, you have the moist button, you have the manual button, you have the seal button. Cancel is pretty much self-explanatory, but what about all the rest? What do they do? Well, between dry and moist, what happens is when you suck the air out of the bag, if the food has moisture in it, that can be sucked out also. So what the dry and the moist are going to do is alter the amount of time that the vacuum pump runs. For dry foods, for example, if you take too much air out and they're lightweight stuff, you can end up crushing them into dust. Like, you can vacuum seal potato chips, but the bag is going to just crunch up, and it'll crunch all the potato chips up, and you get all that potato chip dust at the bottom of the bag, and nobody wants to eat that stuff. So you can adjust the amount of time, or you can do it manually. As long as you hold that button down, the vacuum pump will run, and when the bag looks right, then you're done, and it'll stop vacuuming the air out and seal the bag. The seal button does just that. It will seal the bag without vacuuming anything out. That is going to keep the air inside of that bag. However, it won't crush anything that's in there. So that's going to be especially good for non-food items and things like that. But I'm going to go ahead and test this out for you just so you can see. Now, vacuum bags have a textured side and a smooth side. This is the smooth side. You can see my fingers right through there, but if I flip it over, this is the textured side, and you can see and even hear all of that. You always want to put it in the machine texture side down. So right here I have some parts, plastic parts, that go to a steamer type machine. Like I said, you can seal non-food items, and that's especially nice for things like documents, because you can put that in here. Once this is sealed, it's almost as if it's laminated, because it's completely waterproof, it's airtight, the air won't yellow the paper or anything like that. So it works great even for that. So I'm going to take this here and simply insert it into the slot of the machine. Just in there like that. Now let me just tilt my camera down a little bit, because I want you to watch what happens to the items in the bag here. I'm going to go ahead and press the dry button, because these are dry items, and we'll see what happens. There we are. Take a look at that. The plastic bag, the vacuum sealer bag, has gone around every little bump, every little crevice, every little area, and it's taken out as much air as possible to the point where the two sides of the bag are sticking together anywhere it's physically possible. It has gotten all of the air out, crunched the bag up, and created such a strong vacuum on here. In fact, the machine has a 70 kilopascal vacuum strength on it. So it's one of the most powerful ones. And if you paid attention while it was doing that, you kind of heard a hum, and then something else joined in also. There are 2 vacuum pumps in this machine to achieve such strong vacuum pressure. So, or vacuum suction, I should say. So this does, by and large, the best job I've ever seen of any vacuum sealer. I've been using vacuum sealers for years, and the one that I normally use doesn't do half as good a job as this. It works, but not anywhere near as well as this. And you also can't beat the convenience of that slot load right there, because you just plug it in. My old one, like I explained before, has that lid you got to open up and then try to balance the bag in there, and then the food wants to fall out and the bag goes crooked, and you go to close it and you're like, that's not going to work, and you got to keep playing with it and that. This is just a slot load. Just stick it in there, hit the button, let it do its thing. It does it all for you. Perfect job all the way. I am very, very impressed so far with this ZUUKOO vacuum sealer machine. By and large, the absolute best one I've ever tested. Now we're going to do this with some food. I have some nice salmon fillets that I'm going to vacuum seal, and that way they can be frozen for later use. Okay, I have some nice salmon fillets here, so I'm going to go ahead, I already have them in the bag, and I'm going to stick the bag in the machine like that, and I want you to see the salmon here as we go ahead and vacuum seal that. I'm going to go ahead and press the moist button this time, and you'll watch as it draws all the air out. With the moisture in here, it's not anything you have to worry about, because this has 3rd generation sealing on it. So even if there's moisture in there, it can boil that off quickly and get a perfectly sealed bag to ensure that the vacuum is kept on the food. So here we go. Folks, I don't know if you saw that. It has drawn a perfect vacuum on there. And I don't know if you saw all of the liquid, but do you see this in here? In the unsealed part of the bag? Because here's the seal. You see all this liquid in here? It took all of that and still was able to seal the bag. Any other vacuum sealer would not have been able to do that, and would have left this basically not sealed. This is fantastic. I have never seen that happen. And believe me, I've used vacuum sealers quite a lot, and I've never seen one that can vacuum and seal with that kind of moisture in there. That did a phenomenal job. This is ready to go in the freezer and can be left in there for, you know, a good year, 2 years, maybe even 3, with no freezer burn, no change to the color, the texture, or the flavor. And now you're going to say, well, where did all that moisture go? Here's where it went. It's right in this little pull-out drawer. If I tip it just enough, you should be able to see it in there. There it is. And this can just be washed, dried, and put back. And it's magnetic when you put it back as well. So once I get that lined up, it just snaps in like that, and it's ready to go for next time. That was absolutely phenomenal. I have never seen that happen before, ever. Usually what will happen is it'll go to seal it, and you'll get bubbles in it, in that seal. And the bubble means that the vacuum was not drawn on it, and it's as good as just wrapping it in saran wrap. But the ZUUKOO vacuum sealer was able to still draw a vacuum and seal it, even with all that moisture. That was quite impressive. And oh, did I mention it has a lifetime warranty? So all around, the ZUUKOO vacuum sealer did a fantastic job. You can't get any better than a slot load because it makes it so much easier. Your buttons for your dry, your moist, your manual mode, seal only right there, and the display also goes around to show you the progress of the vacuum sealing operation. So in just under a minute's time, you can get your food vacuum packed. Some of the foods you buy at the grocery store are already vacuum packed and have a very long shelf life. And you can do the same at home with this machine. And also, let's not forget about the vacuum hose attachments from before, because these can vacuum seal wine bottles. They can vacuum seal canisters. Maybe you want to keep cereal in a canister and take the air out of that. You can do that to keep that cereal fresh a lot longer. Maybe you have a cabin in the woods and bugs like to get into stuff, and that box of Raisin Bran right there, not going to do too well. But if you vacuum seal it, you have nothing to worry about, because the bugs can't get in, the air can't get in, and the freshness can't get out. So the ZUUKOO vacuum sealer does a fantastic job of saving you money in the kitchen every time you use it, and a fantastic job, of course, vacuum sealing anything. If you'd like to purchase this item, I'll leave a link in the video description where you can find the item available for sale on Amazon. Thanks for watching. Make sure you click like, make sure you click subscribe, and take care. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.